Welcome to the 210 Podcast, Catalytic Conversations with your host, Nathan Buck. Are we willing to struggle, grow, and maybe fail so others can rise? The conversation starts now.
Because what they showed me in the worst pain, the worst brokenness, was a heroic surrender. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot lead where you have not gone.
So,
And so there's the irony is we build cul-de-sacs, we build loops, we build circles,
yeah.
and we use the excuse of, there's almost a moment where we kind of use the excuse, you cannot lead where you have not gone. So we only lead people where we've ever gone, right?
That's a powerful statement.
And we lead out of our own strength because it's our own experience. And we have to be willing to be able to chart off in a new direction with everything we have learned on the hard road we've been on along the way, but doing that in the next generation and continuing on the journey. That phrase was never meant to put us in these loops where we just kind of stay in our comfort zone and we stay in this place where we know what we know.
Exactly.
It was that phrase should be aimed at, we're going to go in a different direction, but because I've gone on roads similar, I know how to travel that road and I can teach you how to travel that road. So in this season, so that when you travel the next road that's just as hard, you're able to do it and you're able to do it well.
Well, yeah. How responsible are we? Am I my brother's keeper, or do I just keep on recycling the same riffs over and over and over? Yeah. Because what if manna truly expired every new dawn, and we had to get fresh bread for ourselves?
Well,
What?
so you bring an idea alongside of what we were just talking about. So there's one piece is the humility, and we
Yeah.
talked about, I have to be raw and I have to be in the presence of God in order to be able to receive feedback that helps
Yeah.
me see my blind spots. But another piece of that is if I'm trying to grow, my growth shows my deficiency. If you think of this in terms of gardening, like when I have my garden up and I'm growing tomatoes or whatever it is, the deficiency in the soil, the deficiency in the plant shows up in how it's growing. If I'm not growing, you can't see the deficiency, right? Because I can mask it, I can hide it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what really comes alongside of, yes, you cannot lead where you have not gone, but if you're not growing, you're also not seeing the deficiencies that still exist in the cul-de-sac that you've already achieved, right? That loop that you've already run, you're not seeing your deficiencies because you've already developed your coping mechanisms for that. So you have to be growing to see the deficiencies, and in the midst of that, you're helping those who are coming along to see what they need to grow through, but you're also discovering new deficiencies about yourself. You're learning, and actually, in that, you're not only giving them what you've already processed, but they're getting to experience that process with you in real time. And they're actually getting more of what they need because they're encountering, hey, this is what it's like to be a screw up. This is what it's like to be a mess as a leader, and yet let God lead.
Do you remember Rich Mullins?
Yep.
My friends aren't the way I wish they were. They are just the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
That song came back into my heart recently, and it reinforced the transparency necessary for me to lead this next generation.
Yeah.
Because how does it look for like a 24-year-old guy who's called by God to be working alongside of me, and to see me come up short and not know how to answer,
Yeah.
and to
Yep.
see me real time process that and use, hey, I haven't traveled this road, but I've actually been on similar roads, kind of like you just said.
Yeah.
Here, let's actually go this way.
I had two mentors that both had to go through restoration because of moral failure.
Oh,
And these were significant mentors in my life. I've been blessed to have several significant mentors. Um, Initially, it was terrifying right? Because you see them start to go into this process and you don't know how it's going to go.
Hmm.
I'm so grateful that those mentors humbled themselves and said, "Here I am. Here's my sin
Hmm.
and my shame. Let the Lord do with me what he will." Right? And they did that both in their spiritual life and they did it within the organization. They did it within the leadership and said, whatever accountability, right? Whatever process. Um, had I not had that, had I had somebody who cut and run or made excuses or blamed or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
again, when I say there but for the grace of God go I, had I had mentors who demonstrated that other behavior, I don't know where I would be today. What I can tell you is I would have had a hard time coming through the temptations and challenges and moments that I've faced, that Allison and I have faced in our years of leadership and ministry. And I don't know that I would be a leader right now. I don't know that I would be in ministry right now
Mhm.
because what they showed me in the worst pain, the worst brokenness was a heroic
Huh.
surrender, right? I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it's a humiliating surrender, like Jesus to say, I, I have no excuse.
Hmm.
I am broken and I am in need of God's redemption. And that full transparency. Now, I'm not saying full transparency like airing the dirty laundry and getting an extra
Yeah.
pound of flesh, but the full transparency of no, here I am. I'm just a broken, flawed human being trying my best to be obedient to God. If I didn't have that example from them,
It's that example.
I know apart from the grace of God, I would not have had the learnings
Mm-mm.
and the lessons invested in me to say, when I hit those points in my own life and I come up against those temptations, I have to be willing to go there because if I don't, it's not about me at that point. It's not even about my family. It's about if I don't do that, yes, I am rejecting the humility required of me for the Lord to work in that space in my life. But I'm lame, I'm making lame, I'm hamstringing everybody near me.
Absolutely. Let me see how you handle a disappointment, a failure like David had done. You
Mm,
know, Bathsheba, the son is born, right? He's fasting because God had already said he was going to die,
yeah,
but he's fasting. And the child dies and he begins to eat again. And just the transparency of even a king that way,
yeah,
just a broken man. And Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the sins of the father
yeah,
covered up. You cover up things, you don't make that thing clear. It has things hidden in darkness have the ability to control not only you but those in your progeny.
yeah. And that goes not just for sin, it goes for trauma, it goes for mental
Wow.
health, it goes for personal immaturity. I mean, all of
Oh,
those things. I mean, when you start to recognize the
yeah.
depths of our own frailty, it should drive you back to that place where I need to stand before Jesus. John 15 becomes very real. Apart from me, you can do nothing. That and some translations say no good thing. The simplicity of it that until I recognize how frail I am and I'm willing to stand there in that moment, yeah, really, apart from him, I can't do anything. And everything that is good in my life, everything that is worth celebrating is his. Like it really is.
His world and we live in it, a
Yeah,
gifted response from the king in his kingdom.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's huge.